What's happening? Episode 26, Chattin Pony with Paddy The Baddy. As always, sponsored by Flux. And I've also got me Paddy The Baddy hoodie on today, what you can find on the Apex website. We'll put them in the link. We'll put the link in the description for you so you can get on that. But we've got a guest on today that I've been getting asked since I started my podcast to get him on. So introduce yourself, Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Rimmer. I'm Paddy's MMA coach.
Yeah, I call him Uncle Rim because he's been me MMA coach for like 12 years. Know what I mean? It's been a long journey, and he's been with me every single step of the way. So it's great to actually finally get him on the podcast. I've tried to get you on a few times, really, haven't I?
Yeah, I always try and swerve. Yeah.
Always tries to leg me. This time I got him tied down, made sure that he was coming in. So just introduce yourself, Paul, let everyone know.
So I'm Paul Rimmer. I own Next Generation MMA. Been teaching MMA full time since around about 2002. So like 20 years. Yeah, 20 years.
I was 7. Just to put that into perspective for you, I was 7 when Paul started teaching MMA full time.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, like.
Yeah, a long journey, but obviously let's go right back to the start. Like, how did you get into martial arts to begin with? Never mind MMA, just martial arts as a whole.
So, when I was about 5 or 6, my dad took me to watch Karate Kid 2. And I remember saying, I watched it and I was just like, wow, this is like, I remember saying to him, I want to do karate. And he's like, yeah, I'll put you in karate. And then literally the week later, he took me to judo.
Took you to the wrong martial art.
Yeah, and I'm like, where's all the kicking? Why are they kicking each other? Instead, they're all throwing each other around, they're rolling around on the mat and doing all that sort of stuff. But that was for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I did judo for a few years as a kid. And I then moved into other martial arts. So I tried karate out, tried kung fu out, tried loads of different things as like a boy. And then I started traditional jiu-jitsu when I was about 9 or 10, and I stayed doing that for quite a number of years.
Yeah, that's not the same as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is it? It's a bit
No, it's not the same.
Yeah.
But I need to say, like,
yeah.
There was no Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was nothing like that. Because I remember being about 11 or 12, and then, like, UFC comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I found out about it through reading martial arts magazines. So I used to be banging to reading them because there was no YouTube. Yeah. There's no nothing like that. You know what I mean? There's no books on martial arts that like speak about grappling, anything like that sort of thing. So I was banging to like doing traditional jiu-jitsu. And at the time I was cross-training, doing other stuff. So I started doing traditional kung fu martial arts as well as doing the traditional jiu-jitsu, that sort of stuff. And then UFC comes out. And I remember watching Royce like winning. And I thought, this is something I want to get into. So I said to my mum and dad at the time, they're like, what do you want for your 16th birthday? And I was like, I want you to send me to the Gracie Academy in LA. And they were like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, you know what I mean? They didn't
going to LA as a 16-year-old
exactly,
kid.
They don't understand at the time. It's funny because literally our Jack's sitting there and we had the same conversation where he was asking me to send him to Jiu-Jitsu for his 16th birthday. I'm like, you're not going on your own there. You know what I mean? So it was like literally history repeating itself. But yeah, so like I say, I got really into like traditional kung fu. I know everyone always gives it like a bit of a thing, but you got to remember like that the period of time that I was kind of training in martial arts was just where UFC had been getting started. Like most people's view of martial arts was very much films.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I was addicted to watching like Hong Kong action films and that sort of stuff, and that's what I wanted to do. So I was very, very fortunate in that the guy that the guy that I went to train with to do traditional martial arts is one of the world's best instructors. A guy called George Ho. He lives on the Wirral. And what happened was one of my schoolmates knew I did martial arts, and they were like, come and look over this fella's wall. Like, they do all sorts of mad stuff in there.
Imagine you said that this day and age. Come and look over this fella's wall.
No, it sounds really bad. So we go down after school and we're like peering over this fella's wall, and there's like people like doing like katas with swords and all this sort of stuff. And like, we're looking over the wall, and he comes out and tells us to get off the wall. And then he's like, what you want? And then we're like, oh, you know, I'm interested in learning martial arts. And he was like, come back at 3 o'clock on Sunday. And we're like, okay, sound. So we turn up at his house at 3 o'clock on Sunday, and we ring the doorbell, me and my mate, Mikey Chan. And we ring the doorbell, and he doesn't answer. And I'm like, is he going to come? And my mate goes, this is defo a test. He's got this plaque on the wall that says Master George Ho, and he goes, it's defo a test. So we sat there and waited. And then he fucking turned up about 3 hours later. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, you told us to be at 3 o'clock. He was like, yeah, you were late. Wasn't a test. He just got off and towards his class. He was just sat there, and he goes, come back. And then I went back and started training with George, and been George's student for about, since I was 14. So I'm 42 now, so like 28 years. He's one of the best martial artists I've ever seen. It's funny because I say stuff to you like this and you never believe me, and then I'll go, okay, all right then, don't believe me. But so yeah, I went around China, just studied over there and stuff. Did some like Sanshao kickboxing stuff out there.
Yeah, you actually went. How old was you when you went to China?
First time I went, I just turned 18.
Just turned 18 and went to China on your own.
I didn't go on my own. I went with a load of people for like this England team thing first time.
Yeah.
The second and third times, like, yeah, there was like 2-3 of us that would go.
Yeah, that's brave. That, you know,
it was boss because at that time the West wasn't really. China hadn't really opened up to the West.
Yeah.
So you'd literally go places and like people would just break the car and like stare at you.
Thinking,
like,
oh my God, there's a white man.
That's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was like. That's what it was like, honestly. And, you know, I went all different parts of China, trained with like some like phenomenal people. And long story short, I came back from China, I was at work and stuff like that. And then I'll tell you how I got into MMA. So I've been training stuff, I've been reading magazines, and like I get VHSs and stuff. And my mate, my best mate Michael, he was my main training partner when we did Kung Fu, and we'd always go hard. We both we treated it as a full contact martial art rather than just like a hobby. And we used to get mats. I got 2 mats, and we used to put them down in his living room. And when his bird would go to bed, we'd fucking practice jujitsu in his living room. And I was getting more and more into doing that sort of thing. And then I came across a guy called Benjy, and he did Brazilian style jujitsu classes. That's what the advert said. And I was like a cocky kid, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go down there and I want to show him what's what, you know what I mean? And he tied me up in knots. And we started training together and stuff. So
was it actually BJJ or just his like own little style of it?
He'd done traditional jiu-jitsu, but he was a good grappler.
Yeah.
And he'd done some sambo wrestling and picked stuff up himself. So he's a better grappler than me at the time, when no one was grappling. So I trained with Benjy for quite a while. And I competed in the Combat Sports Open Championship, which was the first like MMA event that you could enter in the UK. It was on mats, 4-minute rounds,
could you
amateur MMA.
Punch and kick and stuff,
you could
as well
punch
as
and
grappling.
kick and grapple, So I did that in like, I think it was, I want to say it's either 1998 or 2000. I've got the VHS on ours somewhere. That's how old it is.
The VHS.
So I entered that. I went against one guy. He took me down, and I had a vest on, and he took me down. I was trying to escape, and he wrapped the vest around my neck like a gi. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a vest, and he started choking me with me vest. Like, and I was just like, what is this?
That's
and,
old school, man.
Yeah. No one said nothing. I'm like, you can't do this. But then I had another match against some other guy and submitted him. And then Benjy said to me, he went, listen, if you want to go further with this, you need to go to America. That's what he said. He said, like, I've took you as far as I can. You need to go to America. And I was like, okay, sound. So then I just went back to doing Kung Fu and stuff. And I was sat at my desk one day in the office, and a girl sits down and goes, I've got a year off. I'm going to Australia. And I was just like, what? I want a year off. I want to go traveling. So I marched into my boss's office and was like, you gave her a year off. I want a year off. And she's like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to go to America. And she's like, and do what? I was like, I'm going to do UFC. And she was like, okay, Sam, stamp. Your year off starts next month. So I'm like, oh, shit.
You've got to go now.
I'm like 21 at the time. So I picked the phone up and ring me dad. And I'm like, Dad, just let you know I'm going to be going to America for a year. He's like, to do what? I'm like, to do MMA. And he's like, oh, I know. Giving me the old dad, what are you doing?
What are you
You've
doing?
got a job there. Do you know what I mean? One of them. So I get a loan, get a bank loan. And I leave enough money out the loan to pay back the repayments of the loan.
Yeah.
And then I messaged Chris Brennan, looking for a gym in America. Chris Brennan, you could sleep in his gym. And I found in WH Smith's a martial arts magazine that I used to subscribe to, Grappling magazine. And on the front of it, it's got Baz Rutten. Yeah. And a thing that says Chris Brennan, King of the Cage, champion. So buy the magazine, go home, and I'm reading about it, and the article calls him like the Robin Hood of MMA, how he like gives jiu-jitsu to the people that don't know it. Yeah. And I remember reading it, and the stuff that he was doing was like different to the other people were doing in Grappling magazine. The main difference being he didn't have a gi on, and everyone else had a gi on. Yeah. And I'd identified with that with fighting more. So I sent Chris an email, and I was like, yo, I want to come out and do some training. And he's like, yeah, no problem. I'm like, I'm coming out on this date. And he's like, yeah, no problem. We've got room for you. I'm like, okay, cool. Week before, Chris, just double checking before I fly out. Everything's good. He's like, yeah, of course. Can't wait to see you. Get out there. I remember I arrived at LAX, went to book myself into a hotel to kind of like, for one night, to psych myself up for like living in the gym and all that sort of stuff. And got up the next morning, travelled from LA to Orange County, and walked into his gym. And I'm like, Chris? And he's like, yeah, who the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm Paul, I've been messaging you. And he's like, Paul. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, that was like the start of it. And he's like, well, if you train, jump on the mat. And I'm like, okay, sound, jump on the mat. So just jumped on the mat, started training. First move I ever learned, like proper Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, was a heel hook from 50-50. It was the first move I ever learned, heel hook from 50-50. And so then he paired me up with one of his blue belts, a guy called Albert, who's got one of his affiliate schools. And we slap hands, bump fists, and we're both on the knees, and Albert shoots a double leg on me. And it's fucking funny, this. I'd watched an episode of Jerry Springer, right? And he has John Lewis on. He has John Lewis on, who's like one of the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts in the US. And he says to the security fella, Steve, he's like, get him, you know what I mean, sort of thing. So Steve shoots this double leg on fucking John Lewis. And John Lewis gets a crucifix grip on him and flips him over and neck cranks him. Yeah. And I watched that and I was like, whoa, that's like the best move I've ever seen. So anyway, cut a long story short, Chris is watching me, slap hands, bump fist with Albert. Albert shoots a double on me and I nailed the same move. Off Jerry Springer. Tap him in front of Chris. And Chris was like, the kid must be good. And then proceeded to get demolished for the next fucking 4.5 minutes. Yeah, he just fucking smoked me, tapping him in front of his coach.
Yeah, you tap me in front of Chris, I'm going to absolutely annihilate you.
And he was like, what belt are you? And I was like, white belt. So anyway, I end up living at the gym, training full time there. Like that was how I really got started.
Yeah, it's funny when Chris, because obviously Chris has come over, hasn't he, and done seminars in our gym, and it's funny when he tells us stories about it. He's like, oh yeah, Paul would come over, he'd lose loads of weight, he'd go home dead skinny, and then he'd come back again 6 months later and do the exact same thing all over again.
Blame me ma for that, like. But,
your ma was feeding you up.
Yeah, my ma was feeding me up. She was like, you look thin, like, there's some food. But like it was good because I said because Chris was basically like, how long are you here for? And I was like, I'm here for at least 6 months. Yeah, that's how much money I've got for 6 months. And he was like, okay, cool. Can you pay for the 6 months in advance? I was like, yeah, sure, why? I sort of paid him for like that. And he was like, oh, no worries. And I asked him about it years later. He was like, I didn't think you were going to stay longer than fucking 3 days.
Yeah. So that's how you got you to pay.
Yeah, he got me to pay up front for it. So yeah, but I lived in the gym and I had like really, really good training partners there at the time, and everyone helped each other because there was loads of us living in the gym.
That's what I was going to say. That like how many people were living in there? Because obviously back then you could the world was a different place. You could have people living in the gym and stuff.
There was 6 bunk beds. and a camp bed. And after that, it was kind of like sleep on the mats. That's what
There
it
was that
like.
many people.
Yeah. I remember one summer, I think there was about 14 of us there. Something along them sorts, like about 14 of us living.
Yeah.
But
And like, were some of them fighters and then some just done jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, or was everyone like a fighter?
No, all the main livings were mainly jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's mad thinking back now, though, because obviously there's still not even that much money in jiu-jitsu now, but obviously back then there must have been even less.
Oh, there was
money.
nothing.
That's
There
what I
was
mean,
nothing. They were there because they loved it.
Yeah, because they were there because they loved the game.
Yeah. I think there was a guy called Brad who lived there who was like the head of the livings.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he'd do jiu-jitsu, but he was like working, but it was like easy for him to live there because he was from out of state.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy called Brady who lived with us. And Brady was still one of the best people I've trained with. He taught me a lot, an awful lot. So he'd get up in the mornings and go to work. So he'd wake me up in the mornings and give me private lessons. Well, I thought they were private lessons. It was basically him just muftiing me every day, every fucking morning.
Him just beating
you know what I
you
mean?
up
I'd
every
just
day.
get out of bed tired and he'd be fucking mounting me. But the thing with Brady was he taught me quite a lot about jiu-jitsu. He taught me about like how to kind of repeat and get into stuff. So like when we'd roll, he'd do the same things in the same order and I couldn't fucking stop him doing it to me. And that was where I learned a lot about how you should learn and teach jiu-jitsu and how you should approach it, systems and stuff, yeah. So he was teaching me that quite early on. And then there was another guy who lived there called Gerald. I think he's in prison now or some shit. But he was Eddie Bravo's first student.
Yeah.
So yeah, so before there was a 10th planet, before there was anything like that, Eddie was a purple belt at the time.
Yeah.
And so was Gerald, and he was teaching him rubber guard, twister, lockdown. And then we were learning that stuff off Gerald as well.
This is like 20 years ago, wasn't it?
20 years ago, yeah. So then the other people that like lived there at the time, there was a guy called Dennis Kelly who came over, and Dennis runs a massive martial arts school in Australia. There's a guy called V. I don't even know if he trains anymore, but he was really good. He was from Carlson Gracie London. Jason Tanner owns the MMA Academy. He came out. That's how I met Jason.
Thinking, remember Russ who we met?
Russ, yeah. Russ was a living. Yeah, there was loads of people, like a lot of people there at the time, and it was really good because I met loads of people who come through the doors of the academy as well.
Yeah,
but it was a really good experience. Like I say, just living in the gym. But I used to attend. I used to do an hour with Brady every morning, 2 hours of jiu-jitsu in the like 10:30 sort of time, like we do in the mornings. And then I'd go and lift weights in the afternoon and then go back for fight team training, jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. And I did that every day for like 6 months.
Yeah, you were putting that work in.
Oh yeah, that's why I say to you, I'm like, listen, I've done this, you know what I mean? Like, I think I lost... I think I lost 80 pounds. That's what I lost in 6 months. But it wasn't 6 months, it was more like 3. Because I really didn't give a fuck for the first 3 months. I was just eating American food. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I've got 3 months left. I need to fucking do this.
When you come home, your mum and dad are like, who's this?
Yeah, that was what it was like. But so yeah, so like, you know, got the work in there. I had a lot of good friends that helped me out a lot. All of them pretty much from that era now are black belts.
Yeah. A lot of them have their own gyms and stuff as well, don't they? Like,
yeah, loads of them have their own gyms, yeah. You met loads of them, didn't you, when you came over to Texas with us?
Yeah, when we went for the next generation. Was it the 20th?
20th anniversary, of that next generation. But it's ours this year, actually. Yeah. It'll be April, March, yeah. So yeah, so like that happened, and then I came back from America the first time, and then...
did you end up going back to that job?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
What was everyone like when you got back? Oh, what was it like?
They were like, what happened to you? And I was just like, up in America, I had a tan and it was like that. And fucking, it was, you know, I looked like a different person. looked like the real Paul Rimmer that came in.
Like,
and then,
like me now compared to 8 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it was like, lad, you know. So I come back from America. And as I said, I met Jason at the time and we came back and we were training partners and we started doing training sessions in the 051 in the boxing ring. We put the mats down with like John who owned the 051. He had like mats for people to do sit-ups and that, 'cause it was a boxing gym.
Yeah.
So we'd fucking move all the sit-up stuff off the mats and put them in the ring, and then we'd roll in the ring.
Yeah.
And then we started teaching a class in Fighters and Fitness Studio, which later became Carbon.
Yeah.
So we taught in there for a few years. And then I was working on the door at the time, and John asked us if we wanted the 051, the upstairs, the 051.
Yeah,
And we were like,
so
yeah, defo. So we moved into the 051. Actually, sorry, I should say that before that, we had a smaller gym on Vauxhall Road below the old Body Power gym.
Yeah, I know what you mean. With them mad stairs, what is the little spiral stairs? What you'd walk up them ones?
Yeah. Like that was on Vauxhall. Loads of people have been there. Fran's been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of people like came and trained there. That was like the first full time MMA gym in the city. We had morning classes for fighters and Jujitsu classes for night, Thai boxing, that sort of stuff. So like it was a really good environment. Brazilians would come over and train with us, and you know, like everyone from Liverpool would go and meet there and train there. And then, like I say, we got offered the 051. We moved to the 051, and that's where like the gym became like sort of like
that's it. It become like a mainstay, weren't it?
Yeah,
the 051.
Yeah, and then like Jason that day went and opened like the MMA Academy, and then that's where you.
That's what I was to say.
You came on like literally probably like a month later.
That's when it was. That's when I first come in, because I never really knew Jason from teaching or nothing. Like everyone, I come in when like, I can remember the date when I first walked in, the 20th of January 2010.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the exact date when I come in.
Yeah, I remember that because that was the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
That's the day my life got worse. But you know, because we just literally went and seen him. We went and seen Danny Widow, didn't we, round the corner? Then. But like they're your coaches that you remember when you first started.
They're my first ever coaches, like
Danny Widow,
Carl, Ryan, you. Know what I mean?
Yeah, Ellis wasn't even a coach
Ellis,
then.
No,
or
Ellis,
or no
Ellis like Vent started like a month after me, and then Ellis come a few months later. It's funny because Ellis started
with Danny Widow,
doing private with
Danny Widow in the cage. Yeah, I remember. Because I was always like, "Who's that quiet kid who doesn't say hello,
doesn't speak?"
So we're at the 051, and like that's where like you know, we had a lot of good times, we had a lot of fighters, and then moved on to Kempston Street.
I always say about the 051, the one thing I always say is,
don't talk about the cold.
Yeah.
And the heat.
Always.
The cold and the heat.
The windows, because it was like a greenhouse, wasn't it? It was on the 4th floor of the 051. So because of the windows.
You should put a picture of the 051 up.
I know. Whatever the temperature was outside, it was magnified inside. So like whenever it was freezing, I'll never forget. It was me and Adam looking at each other going, putting our toe on the mat, going, oh lad, it's not, no. Oh no, lad, we're gonna have to do it. We're just gonna have to do it. And we just start jogging around the mat like that with our toes, thinking, oh my God, it's freezing. Some people's feet, the bottom of the feet used to go bright white, didn't they? Like they change colour.
Don't footlock those guys.
Yeah. And then when it was sunny outside, it was like an absolute sauna in there.
Yeah, it was.
Like when you'd spies, it'd just be slipping around each other. Like I always think back to it, like, because like we talk to the young'uns in the gym now, and I'm like, lad, yous were never part of Friday night fights in the gym, mate. Because when we used to have it in the cage on a Friday night, it used to be a fight.
It was, yeah. But then, you know what's funny now? It's like on our Thursday morning spars. Like that now,
yeah,
isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like the Thursday morning spars.
Like I always think back to Matty Ross, because the way he throws punches with them cage steel gloves we used to wear, you'd have all bruises on the top of your head off his knuckles. I'm
sure someone's still sparring and them black and green evolution ones.
Yeah.
With the no Velcro that you just used to tape over. Someone's still punching heads in, and then like
defo, they're still about them.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, like that era, there was quite a few of you that like have grown up doing like different things, you know what I mean? Like Joe Neal, like look how successful Joe is with what he does, and Louis Neal as well.
Matty's got his own clothing brand.
Yeah. Like they were like, you know, and like you, Vance and Ellis, you're all black belts now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone's got like grown up since then. Do you know what I mean? Because you were all kids, weren't you?
Yeah, I was as you know, when I first walked in the gym, I was like 15 and like 50 kilo. Mm-hmm. And I was a proper baby.
Yeah, but you had a mouth on you though, lad.
Yeah, I always had a mouth on me.
Yeah, you always going to stand up to anyone, weren't you? You know what I mean?
Couldn't help myself, lad.
Yeah.
That was off having a big brother, that though, to be honest. Having a big brother, I always used to give him shit and get beat up, so just in the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can remember Spag and Glyn leg kicking you to death and all that sort of stuff.
The funniest one ever with that was Spag. I can remember giving him shit. And then he went, come here, you. And he choked me out. He put me in a rear naked, put me a kip. He put me, I remember Teddy Ferrigan was there, and he was like, and then I went, come back around and just went, you dickhead. And he went, I'm not even doing nothing to him anymore. Go away. She's like, I'm not even going near him now. I've just put him asleep and he's just woke up and he's still giving me shit. Like, some of the days in that 051 were the funniest ever.
Yeah, they were. It was a good, you know, it was a good crew back then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the fight team was like, that was like the first.
That was the first, like, proper fight team, weren't it? Like, where it was like, some nights we'd have 6 lads fighting on one show. Stuff like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, like when I was a Fighters Fitness Studio, like, Teddy Etten was like my first proper fighter. And Jason as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Jason and Teddy both fought in the UFC. But there wasn't really much to build up to get that back in the day.
Yeah.
It was like you had like a few fights and you were off to UFC sort of thing. Paul Cahoon used to run the CFC fights in the Olympia. Then that became like Cage Gladiators.
Yeah.
And then that became OMAC. And then, you know what I mean? So like, you know, there was a little bit of a Liverpool sort of scene. But the guys like who were at the gym, like with yourself, they became like, you know, like Fishy Sweeney, Danny Roberts, Dinsdale, Steodge, yeah, like all them guys.
Yeah.
You know, remember the cage conflict nights?
Yeah, the cage
where we'd go to cage conflict and go 12-0,
yeah,
and all that sort of stuff. Like them days, they were like real good days. Like, and then, like I say, you know, from there, like everything sort of grown. You know, we had the big gym in the city centre. It was good.
Yeah, it was.
Days.
It's sick looking back now, like the red mats and that, because we haven't had red mats since, have we? I always think back to the red mats.
Yeah,
the red mats in the cage
famous
wall.
red mats. Yeah. Someone somewhere's got them red mats. Someone,
Yeah.
like, I left them in the 05, so like someone's got them
So
somewhere.
yeah, because remember the other week when we seen someone had been in the derelict building?
Yeah.
Remember on Instagram, someone had been in the building and all the mats weren't there, was there? It was just like a few things in the corner. Like there was a magazine. He took a picture of a magazine, something that was in the corner, and like that, and the desk was still there.
Yeah, well then John said to us after that, didn't he? We want to do something with downstairs, the boxing gym.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Sam. Then I spoke to Danny Widow and we opened No Limits Strength and Conditioning. And Chris Tam came in, and like I say, we've just been to their big gym round the corner.
Their new big gym round the corner.
And
from
like
here.
Carl's got 2 brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all these things have been like offshoots.
Yeah,
you know
as
what I
you
mean?
said, it's like the fighters we've all grew up and started doing things, but also the coaches have branched off and done their own things as well.
Of course, yeah.
Like everyone evolves, as they say.
Most of the gyms in Liverpool are offshoots of Next Generation some way.
Yeah. Yeah. They all are really.
But
the fundamentals.
but no, it's good. I like to see people doing well. I
Yeah.
like to see people getting on and doing things, and it's all comes from me storming into my boss's office
Saying
at
I
some
want
point,
6
saying
months
I want
off.
6 months off. You know what I mean? That's like it's funny how things work out. And you know, we moved from the 051. We had to move, didn't we? Because like the building's derelict.
Yeah.
So we moved there, and we moved into Kempson Street into like the little gym. And
Yeah, we had like, it was mad that gym, weren't it? Because we had 2 floors, like, and then we flourished in that gym. It started to get busier and busier and busier.
It really did. Like,
so
yeah.
we had
like,
to start, like, every class had to be split onto 2 floors, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's what we're like now, except the gym's really big.
Really big.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So like we moved from like a 4,000 square foot unit into like a 15,000 square foot unit. And then like that's what we're at now. We're like we've got full beginners classes going on at the same time as full advanced classes.
Advanced classes downstairs.
You know what I mean? It's like it's gone like ridiculous now.
What would you have said if someone would have said that to you 20 years ago when you first went over to America?
I probably would have believed them because like I don't know. Like I say, it was really weird because the MMA wasn't a thing, I thought, in the UK up until Bisping fought on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Like I can remember teaching like 10 to 20 people, and then Bisping fought, it was like 40 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just literally overnight. Yeah. So
see, where you was involved in the sport, you would have noticed that. But for me, even when I said to people, I'm going to do MMA, they were like, what's that?
yeah, of course.
Like even when I was 15, which is what, like 2010, I was saying to people, I'm going to train MMA, and they were like, what? What's that? And then I'd have to say to them, oh, UFC. Like, oh, that cage fighting, yeah. It's like, you call it cage fighting, lad, but if you'd ever come, lad, and trained a bit, you'd realise it's not just having a scrap in a cage.
No, it's not. There's so much more. There's so much more to it than having a scrap in a cage. You can start there though.
Yeah.
two people can put MMA gloves on and go at it, and that's a better start than most things that you're going to do to start. You know what I mean? I had someone message me yesterday saying, "Oh, come here, my mate, hide the cage and just go at it in the cage." I was like, "No." No one wants to see that, lad. But we've got some classes if you want to come and learn what you're doing.
I can't believe someone's actually messaged that in 2022. Can we just rent the cage and come and have it in the cage, please, mate?
Yeah. If that was you who rang me.
That's sick, you know.
I know. Well, but that's the thing. Like, it is fighting at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, like people are like, why is MMA so popular? And the reason it's so popular is no matter what is going on in your life, you could be watching like penalties in the World Cup and two fellas can start scrapping in the crowd and you will stop watching that and you will watch the fighting.
Yeah.
People love to watch fighting. That's
it's a primitive thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, it's been happening for thousands and thousands of years, people fighting, and people have always watched it and kept their eyes on it.
And if them two fellas fight for long enough, people will start betting on the outcome.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like that's how fighting is. It is a very primitive thing. So like it's always gonna be that MMA will be the biggest sport in the world. Like, I know it's boxing, but as like the years have gone by and the athletes in MMA are becoming better and more well known, like it will become the biggest sport in the world.
Yeah, because as you say, it's still only in its infancy, MMA.
It's really in its infancy.
How long boxing's been going for 200-300 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. Only people boxing on the docks and stuff like that for hundreds of years. So, like, MMA's only been going, what, was it 97 or something? Or 92, is it?
Yeah, no, because like,
what was the judoka who had a fight with someone years ago? I think that's
Jean LaBelle.
Yeah, Jean LaBelle.
Jean LaBelle fought, it was Milo Savage in a boxing match and then he choked him.
Didn't he? Yeah.
But like, I used to watch pro wrestling. Like, that was like how I learned to sort of grapple.
Yeah, like, I think everyone used to like. I used to love the WWE when I was growing up. Me.
Well, when I grew up, it was WWF.
Yeah.
Which is now like the World Wildlife Fund or whatever. But when I grew up watching pro wrestling, it was always the technical wrestlers that I liked.
Yeah.
Wasn't a Hulk Hogan fan. I wasn't an Ultimate Warrior fan. I loved like Bret Hart and the Japanese wrestlers that were like fantastic at the time. But because of that, I used to watch obscure wrestling as well. So there was this thing that used to be on ITV, which was NWA at the time, which became WCW. And they used to have the most technical wrestlers in it, I thought. And then one night, because what used to happen was it was on dead late on like a Tuesday night and I had school the next day, but I used to stay up and have the volume down.
Dead low.
My ma used to go to bed and I'd put the volume up just enough to listen to it and watch it on my little portable in my bedroom. And I was waiting for NWA to come on and they put this other wrestling show on called Bushido. And this was pre-UFC.
Yeah, that was like a proper MMA show, wasn't it, Bushido?
It was worked fights,
yeah,
I think. Do you know what I mean? So like, but there was like wrestling champions in it and judo champions in it and stuff. And these guys were doing like proper submission wrestling at the time. And I'd not seen anything like it. And I was like, what is this? They're like straight ankle locking each other and spinning back kicking each other properly and all that and suplexing each other and I'm double legs and that. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And then not long after, UFC comes out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa. This is better than that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. It was like Pancras rules, only open hand strikes.
Like Baz Rutten.
But Baz Rutten was on it, you know what I mean?
Open palm.
Yeah, Frank Shamrock and all them sorts of guys.
Used to wear big mad boots and that on that
Shinnies,
as well,
yeah,
big mad boots
wrestling
all the way
boots
up.
and shinnies over them, yeah. But yeah, I used to love watching all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's what, when I look back and watch loads of like Pride stuff now, they have so many Japanese wrestlers what get involved, don't they? You know what I mean? It's and like they used to love getting
like Pride would put worked fights on in between.
Yeah.
Real fights.
Like that's what I mean. You probably watched all of Pride when it was happening. Like,
yeah.
I didn't get into MMA until after Pride had been bought by the UFC. Like I didn't ever get to see Pride as it was. I've only ever been able to watch it back.
Yeah, well I can remember when the second time I was in America, Chris had moved his gym and he was teaching out at two locations. He had a big gym and a smaller school closer to where he originally taught. And we did his Pride fight camp.
Yeah. Chris had fought on Pride a few times.
He was the first fight on Pride Bushido.
Yeah.
In 2003. So yeah, so like we were doing his camp for that and stuff, and he flew out to Japan and fought in Pride, which was like a massive thing at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, as it was, like a lot of people who are just UFC fans wouldn't even know, but Pride was the biggest show in the world, wasn't it? They were selling out like 90,000 arenas back in like 2005.
Saitama Super Arena, you know what I mean?
Like crazy, like 90,000 arenas for an MMA show in 2005 when half of the world didn't even know what MMA was.
Yeah, but you got to think to yourself, you've got two different places in the world. You've got America, where a lot of people didn't know what Jiu-Jitsu or grappling was or appreciated it.
Yeah.
And that's where you got to stand them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got the crowd standing that, and then you've got Japan that are used to professional wrestling, and they're clapping and celebrating when the fight hits the floor and appreciating technical skill. Japan has always been one of them places where they appreciate like technical skill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a bit mad because they had so many fighting organizations at the time. You had Shuto, Pride, you know, K1 Dynamite. They were putting on big shows, but Japan's not really a big force in the world MMA scene anymore.
Which is a bit mad looking back now. You'd think that now Japan would have a lot of like second generation fighters,
especially with the lower weight classes.
Yeah, coming through.
But then think about this: you have like China, which has been known for traditional martial arts, but now have started got an emerging MMA scene. If you look at like the way the UFC have invested in the Shanghai Performance Institute and trying to pull people up. Remember like Gary, who visits us from Singapore, Gary Tang, and he's like,
he's one of the main.
Yeah, he was at the Performance Institute and stuff.
Institute. He won the scholarship thing, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So like, it's good to see that like, the East, the mysterious martial arts from the East, are still trying to grow and do things out there. So yeah, so it'd be good if like some of the Japanese got themselves. I'm not saying there's no Japanese in the UFC.
That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Like, was it Haragotchi, the one who fought? Did he fight Mighty Mouse?
Yes.
Yeah. Years ago, but now he fights in. Is it Dynamite or
could be
One? I think he fights in One now.
Well, One's a really good example of what they're doing, what they're doing over there. Like they're like a really good organization. I like their lack of rules.
Yeah, I've always said to you, I'd love to fight with them rules with knees to a ground opponents. And
knees to a ground opponents
like,
stuff.
Not stomps, but soccer kicks. You know what I mean? Where you can kick, but I don't think they have them, do they? Don't have soccer kicks.
No,
they definitely don't have stomps. Stomps are a bit of a step too far.
Yeah, but I think that's Batman who introduced stomps for a while. I remember someone over in the UK, Cage Rage.
The Cage Rage have stomps.
They had the open guard rule, which if you're on your back and open guard, the opponent could, the referee would say open guard and you could stomp their head or whatever. Yeah.
See, it's mad. Like, when you look back at, obviously, the first shows that you watched, there was no rules. And now when I fight, there's so many rules.
Yeah, I used to watch like the Brazilian Vale Tudo video. I've got all them on VHS as well.
Yeah, they were all bare knuckle as well.
Bare knuckle, yeah.
Yeah, bare knuckle. Absolute nutters.
but headbutts and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People take each other down and guard and just butt each other until like, until the referee stopped it. And but that was like, they were like the fighters I grew up watching, thinking, oh, this is amazing. You know what I mean? But the MMA scene as a whole just grows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
every single year it does, you're right, you know what I mean? Every single year it just gets bigger and better and bigger and better. Like back in the day, people were just fighters, but now we're athletes.
You changed my fight into an athlete. I've always spoke to you about this, haven't I? Which I hate. I always say to you, like, I hate working with fighters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like working with athletes. You know, there is a difference between the two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was good to see you make that transition.
I was a fighter, just a fighter for years. I never used to do no essence.
You'd have just fought anyone at any point in time for nothing. Do you know what I mean? That's what you were like. You know what I mean? And then you became more of an athlete. You took care of your strength and condition, your nutrition. You took your accountability serious. You know, you've grown from your losses. You did all the things that an athlete would do, where fighters would just make an excuse and
just fight someone else a week later.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So, but like I say, you know, that the MMA scene is growing. The sport's popularity is growing. Like where everything's headed is in a good direction.
Yeah,
it's really good to see. It's weird to be part of a sport from its infancy.
Yeah,
that's where I've been in it. You know what I mean? I seen UFC 1 happen right up to what UFC are we on now?
270 or something.
Yeah,
and just think of how many of the UFC Vegas cards and UFC Fight Night cards you've had as well. It's probably been about 600 cards since you first started watching it.
Well, yeah. Well, I remember like when I lived in the gym. I basically lived in the gym, The only place I'd go was we'd walk back and forward towards the shower at the Gold's Gym that was like a mile up the road that we had to because Chris didn't have a shower, no. So he said train and walk a mile. That's why I lost all the weight, lad. They're like, I had to walk to get a shower and then walk back.
To make sure you didn't get an infection.
After every training session, so overnight, we finished training at like 9 o'clock at night, walk to the gym and walk back. Anyone that lived at Next Gen will know about that. And then...
you wouldn't even get away with that now because of health and safety.
No, you wouldn't. But I remember, like, we had, I lived there at the gym. That was all I was doing, train. And some weekends we'd go to Vegas and we got tickets to go and watch Ken Shamrock versus Tito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's old. That's at UFC 30 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So I got my blue belt that weekend and went to watch my first UFC live on the same weekend. It was one of my best weekends, that, like. But yeah, it shows you how long ago that was when it was. I think that was UFC 49 or 50 or something.
Yeah,
it was.
That's a long time ago. Like, I would have been a baby.
Yeah, like,
I would have been still in junior school.
You couldn't get UFC 1 to 10 on anything at that time.
No,
do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It was like really in its infancy. You couldn't buy the videos of it.
It all got banned in America.
Stuff, yeah.
John McCain was on one trying to get it all banned.
Yeah, because Chris fought on that. He fought Gil Castillo, I think, on that show. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Chris has fought on like every major show you can think of, though, hasn't he?
Chris has fought on pretty much every show you can think of. Like,
Pride, Budo, Bushido,
Shuto,
UFC,
yeah,
King of the Cage. Did he ever fight in cage race?
I think he was the first UFC lightweight fight as well, you know.
I think he was. I'm sure I've read that before.
Yeah. But it's good to see Lucas.
Yeah.
It's good to see Lucas, like, taking over, like,
I know,
sort of like...
one, a second-generation MMA fighter, which is very rare. Because
Really?
the sport is so young, it's so rare to have a second-generation MMA fighter.
But it won't be as the future goes on.
Yeah, it won't
You know what I
be.
mean? But,
Yeah.
Because, like I say, because he's been involved in it since his infancy and his son's been around that, like, that's what you're seeing now. So, like, you know, big up Chris and Lucas because they're doing good things on Bellator.
Yeah, we'll
You know what I mean?
probably have them back over again soon, won't we?
Yeah, we'll probably have them, you can get them on the podcast, can't
Yeah,
you?
definitely.
You know what I mean? But it's like I say, it's good to see because, like, you know, got Cage Warriors on lockdown, UFC on lockdown, they're putting Bellator on lockdown. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's going good for
taking
NG
over.
worldwide, yeah. Going good.
NG worldwide.
So yeah, sport's going good. Business
And
is
like
going
obviously
good.
nowadays with the gym, like the amount of fighters we've got now is just like if I've got too many fighters to keep an eye on.
Yeah, but we've got more coaches now. We have more coaches than ever. Do you know what I mean? Like it was hard back in the day when it was just like mainly me coaching. You know what I mean? Like that, you know, Danny and Carl were always a massive, massive help towards it. But in terms of like the MMA coaching, the Jiu-Jitsu coaching, you know, it was always hard. But like, you know, like with Ellis and Vent and that, and all the guys that like teach Jiu-Jitsu, Matty and Ben and, you know, Conrad, all those guys, like it's a different era again. We've got all these like I say, amazing coaches in the gym that like push everyone on. So it's not like a one-man band anymore. It's a massive team.
Yeah, it's how many black belts have we got now?
11.
11?
Yeah.
See, it's spicy that, you know.
Yeah.
11 black belts.
Yeah.
That's another thing where if someone would have said years ago, oh, the UK gym will have that many black belts, everyone in America would have laughed.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, they still think now that grappling, that's something that does my head in. People, when they comment on my YouTube or comment on stuff, oh, he needs to go to America if he wants to get his grappling up. I was like, come over here and grapple with us, lad, and you'll soon find out.
Yeah, we've had guys visit from all over the world.
Yeah,
we've had Dan and his guys come to the gym and tell us how good the grappling is at the gym, and like you know, they train at our gym if they were in Europe and stuff. You know, like you know, we win stuff on grappling shows. You know, we win. We've always have done. It's always been like one of the strong points of the gym, but you know, it's not just that for MMA anymore, is it? You know what I mean? Everyone's like fucking striking's come on loads.
No, obviously you probably saw it at the start. I bet you, like at the start of when MMA first got introduced, when Hoyce won the first 2 UFCs, it was just we need to grapple. And then like, I think the first example that like got seen of it of like a striker actually beating a grapple was like Maurice Smith.
Yes,
where he like used it to counter wrestle and stay on his feet and strike. And nowadays there's just so many different styles.
Well, yeah, I mean that's like a massive thing as well. a lot of things will depend on what your background. Like if you want to get into MMA and you've got a background, like a lot of people will just head for a gym. Like if you're, let's say you've boxed your whole life, for example, and you're looking for a gym, are you going to go to a striking gym or are you going to go to a grappling gym? That's the question. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go to the striking gym, you're never going to really address your grappling.
Yeah.
If you go to the grappling gym, that might be more in your favour, but they might be more along the lines of, well, maybe you should grapple and you feel like striking. So like a lot of people's careers will depend on like what gym they walk into for the first time and who they're lucky enough to get coaching.
That's what I always say. Like I'm lucky that I never really had no base in anything. Like I think the fact that I just come to next gen and done MMA, I didn't have nothing else before it to cloud my judgments on stuff.
I agree with you there, but also your base became grappling.
Yeah, it did. My base became grappling in the gym.
The blanket.
Yeah. That was my nickname for years, lad. Used to take people down, sit on top of them.
Yeah, just lie on them and decision them. And but yeah, like I say, you know, everyone's different. If you walk into a gym, like I'm pretty fortunate in that because I've always done martial arts my whole life. I get like a really good eye for people and sort of like the direction they should head in. You know, like got guys like you that have turned up where they've had no training. And they've trained up, and we've got guys like Luke Riley who've turned up and they've got all this phenomenal training behind them. Do you know what I mean? And you know, we're just like adding to that and trying to improve him. So it's different depending on the athlete of where their ceiling is, depending on which gym they go to or what they're doing.
Like I always obviously think of Molly, where she come from a boxing background. Yeah. Like she had that base straight away and she could just work on a grappling, where I had to put everything together. And like so did Ventry, you know what I mean? We had to like put everything together in one.
Well, I think also, and you know this yourself, which is just because you're good at striking doesn't mean that you're good at MMA striking.
Yeah.
Like we've had good strikers come in the gym and get their
being kicked about.
Yeah. Because the MMA striking is different.
It's completely different. The range is different, the timing's different.
And it's not just because of takedowns or the floor or any of that sort of stuff. It's just different entirely.
Yeah.
You know, someone who's a less technical striker can get away with less technical striking due to like some of the feints and stuff that gets put in because of the other sports.
Yeah.
But also like them little gloves, they equalise it.
Yeah, they do.
Someone can swing punches against the fucking world-class boxer and still knock a world-class boxer out.
Yeah, they can. That's
happens.
Spot on, especially with the little fours on, mate.
With the fours change everything, they do.
Fours change everything.
They do, and that's like one of the big things, just because you're... like Thai boxing, we've had Thai boxers come into the gym and their style is completely wrong for MMA.
Yeah.
We've had Taekwondo guys come into the gym that style's right for MMA. You know, everyone's different. It's just whether, you know, you can make it work against all the different styles, I suppose.
The one example I always use for that is the Wilsons. Like, Conor uses his style so good for MMA.
Phenomenal.
You know what I mean? Phenomenal. Like, it's brilliant what he does. And then where Callum's still doing his actual karate and still winning world medals at karate, he's not really putting it into place as Conor is, but that's because Conor stopped doing karate and just did MMA. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's putting your style into practice, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it is. It's implementing your game onto others. That's something you do very well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not everyone can do that very well. And they struggle for a long period of time before they sort of find out their way of doing that. Yeah. Or finding opponents that allow them to do that as well.
I think in MMA, you've got to make people fight your fight. You can't fight someone else's fight.
No, but like I say, it's like there's other factors in MMA. Like aggression is important in MMA. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like if you shy away from them shots, the other person's coming for you. Yeah. You know, you can't show like sort of...
Yeah, like in boxing, you can shy away from shots, can't you?
Yeah, you can be technical sit on the ropes, but you cannot sit on a cage.
No, you can't. Because you're going to get punched and then either tucked down or just continuously punched.
That's one of the things, like, you know, I watch people train in MMA. I watch other people's vlogs. I watch training stuff, and like everyone seems to do the same thing. Like a lot of people don't train like us.
No, they don't.
You see some doing some similar stuff, but a lot of people don't train like us. You see a lot of like pads, wall drills, grappling drills, that sort of stuff, but not really. Like we teach how to use the wall. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was why, like, when you won your fight in the UFC, we had the picture of us drilling what
Drilling the
you
exact
finish.
thing and how I'd finished them with.
Yeah, because that's a natural thing to you. You know, okay, this is getting set up now. I'm going to do this.
I know what I'm going to do from this position. Systems.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't just work on the floor; it works on the feet as well.
Exactly, and you know, like myself, Ellis, Vance, we've become better at like identifying and coaching these like finishing things that you know that we see. That, like I say, I don't necessarily see other people doing. No, book us for a seminar.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's where the sport's growing. Like some people are still coaching MMA like it's 3 different disciplines.
Yeah.
You striking,
Wrestling,
jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu.
And it's not. The jiu-jitsu I teach for MMA is nothing like the jiu-jitsu.
The class is what you do overnight.
You know that, don't you?
Yeah, it is. It's completely
you know it's totally different.
The jiu-jitsu we do for morning and what we do for the fight team compared to what you do overnight is completely different.
The jiu-jitsu we teach in the morning, I'd be very surprised if someone would come in and teach the stuff that we actually teach if they did jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying, jiu-jitsu guys say you should do this, but actually what you should do is actually this.
Yeah.
And it's like the opposite principle a lot of the time. And that's why people struggle to make the jiu-jitsu work. And that's why you haven't struggled making your jiu-jitsu work, I think. Because a lot of people like, jiu-jitsu comes with its own rules and ideas a lot of the time. And fighting gets rid of a lot of them rules and ideas and changes it. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing about like, staying on your back. You know, we had a guy come down and spar the other week, and the first thing I said to him is, "You settle on your back too much." From another gym, so you're settling on your back too much. You need to be doing these things. And he was like, "Okay, sound." And he come down, and learned a bit of stuff, and he's trying to like implement that back in his gym, because it's important that you get these ideas and understand them. If you're gonna sit on your back in MMA and try and get an armbar or a triangle,
you're gonna get punched in the face.
You're gonna get beat.
And you're gonna lose.
And I'm not saying armbars and triangles don't work in MMA. I'm not saying you're a great example of someone that's finished a lot of them sorts of things. I'm just saying, as in the MMA meta has changed from the way you should be training to.
Yeah, it's always evolving, isn't it? And like, as you know, when you're watching a fight, 9 times out of 10, if you're lying on your back, you're losing.
Yeah. That's why, like, Bisping, I always give Bisping props for it, because he was, like, the first guy to have that style. He was, like, really hard to keep down, just kept standing up all the time, go back to his striking. And, you know, that's, like, a lot of the stuff that people should be doing these days. You know what I mean? Like I say, settling on your back's not, like, the best thing. But don't get me wrong, some people have, like, amazing guards and can do special things, but the vast majority of people aren't going to.
Like we said, 9 times out of 10, while you're on the bottom, until you get that submission, you're losing the fight. That's the way I always think about it anyway. If you're on the bottom, even if you've got hold of a submission, until that person taps, you're losing.
Yeah. I think something like, I read a statistic the other day, and it's something like 58% of all the sweeps that have ever been in the UFC are from half guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, half guard's better than close guard.
Close guard, yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're looking at that,
and if you're looking at it from a jiu-jitsu point of view, you want to get to close guard constantly, don't you? You don't. Really, you want to get to close guard, because the other person hasn't really got many attacks, but the person on the bottom's got all of them. But that's where I always say my jiu-jitsu is completely different when you add punches in.
Oh, it's a lot different.
My jiu-jitsu is just it's ridiculously different when you add punches in.
Yeah, it is. But that's the thing. We have like systems that we train about, like striking on the ground.
Yeah, striking on the ground.
We even have things that you're not allowed to go for in fights. You know what I mean? You are not allowed to. I'm not going to say what they are, but you're not allowed to go for these things in fights, because they'll cause you to make mistakes. You know what I mean? And like that stuff's paid off. Like, and that's the thing. I don't know if like when people watch like your fights and then they like go and watch Nathan or Cullen, like they're watching the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not lucky rear naked chokes. What that Cage Warriors show where like four finishes, four rear naked chokes. You're like, oh, it's the next gen move. I'm like, yeah, it's not a coincidence.
No, it's not.
Not a coincidence.
That's something I do love about our gym though, Paul. Like, if you watch fights, some fighters from other gyms, they all have the same sort of style. They all do the same thing. Like, without like making anyone sound bad, alpha male's a bit like that, isn't it? They all go for the guillotine, go for the takedown, stuff like that. And then you go for our gym and like look at Nathan and then look at Luke Riley.
Oh yeah, they're 2 different fighters.
Just 2 completely different fighters. You know what I mean?
Hopefully,
look at Wilson, look at Cullen.
Yeah.
Everyone, look at me, look at Vince. Like Molly, everyone's completely different. Like, we haven't got like one set style, and we'll all do the same exact thing and try and beat each other.
No, we're trying to coach the fighter and bring them on. Like when I was more of an inexperienced coach, I used to try and pick guys that were in the UFC and try to mold people into them sort of styles, them sort of guys, you know what I mean? Because then it helps you sort of like look at what other people are doing and sort of how their career progressed and what sort of opponents they had trouble with and doing them sorts of things. And that was always like a big thing to help out because you had nothing to look up to go towards, if you know what I mean. So like that's always helped me out. Like I was even sitting in the gym the other day with the Gittin sisters, and we were
the Gittin sisters.
You know, I was talking, I was showing Liam, saying like, look at this guy. I think he fights a little bit like you. Go home and watch some of his stuff. The way
You've said that to me before. With a few people, like his top game is what yours should be like. Let's do it like that.
Yeah, because a lot of people just look at like moves. They don't look at like pace and distancing and, you know, the stuff that like aggression, the stuff that really makes a difference in a fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're things. You obviously have technical skill, you know, that like that's always got to be worked on. But some people just stop there.
Yeah.
Some people come in, just do like a bit of technical work and they think like, oh, I'm done sort of thing. And they're not trying to best themselves. You know, as well as I do, every day when like we're drilling, like let's say a double leg takedown, I'm like, make it better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Make it faster, you know, drive harder on it. Like make them improvements that like, don't just come up every day and go, oh, this again. And just go through the motions and think like, I've done my session. No, you should be trying to get better every session. You should be trying to put yourselves in positions where you're uncomfortable to make yourself comfortable.
Yeah.
So that when the time comes and someone puts you in that position, you're just like, okay.
That's what's been brilliant about having Chattin here for this camp.
Jason's a star, mate.
Yeah, he's a belter, Chattin. Like,
he is.
I just feel my wrestling coming on and on and on because I'm wrestling with him all the time, and he forces me to get better at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like better than probably anyone I've trained over the years. You've had the ability to kind of like catch up quick.
Yeah, like adapt, innit? You've got to like adapt and overcome.
Like people have like different physical skills. Like some people are strong, some people are fast, some people are flexible. You've always had a little bit of them things. You know what I mean? Like I can remember you just like a 50-kilo kid picking Danny Dutch up and carrying him across the gym.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. And like, you know, you've always been flexible, but you've always been fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've always had like a little bit of them things, and now you're working on your strength. You've got a lot stronger over the years. You know what I mean? But like, some people don't pay attention to the physical gifts. They just take it for granted. Do you remember me speaking to you about your flexibility? And I was like, if you don't stretch, you're going to lose your flexibility as you get older. You're going to get injured more. You were like, oh, fuck him. Yeah. And then what happens? You start getting injured more.
And that,
yeah, you know what I mean? Everything's got to be worked on. And it's important to identify like what your physical strengths are. I always felt for me, my strength was the way I thought about stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wasn't the strongest on the mat. I was never the fastest on the mat. You know what I mean? But I always said to myself, I want to be the smartest. I want to know more than everyone else.
Yeah.
That way, if you're going to attack me with something, I'll have an answer.
You'll have already seen it before.
I'll see it, yeah. And that's helped me coach over the years because it's helped me break other people down. You know what I mean? I can watch someone move around for a couple of minutes and be like, right, this is what you're going to need. I know exactly what tools that you're going to need to get yourself somewhere. Yeah. That's why it's easier for me to coach people from all different backgrounds because I've got that much experience in it and knowledge of martial arts and fighting and that sort of stuff from years of doing this. It
must be amazing for you now, though, because obviously you was doing it 20 years ago, and then just last week we had Emma in the gym, the English MMA Association, about 40 kids or something, was it? Under the age of like 16, like 40 of them in training, and it must just be mad for you looking now how much the sport's evolved.
Yeah, like you know, and like not many other people probably know this, but like after you lot, like my fight team, my next passion is like our kids team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, got like a phenomenal bunch of kids that I work with like day in, day out. Like our Jack, Alfie, JJ, Jake Webb, Charlie Wilson. Like, I've got all these amazing, like little Noah. I've got all these amazing kids that come to the gym and they train just as hard as the pro athletes.
Yeah.
But they're never going to get the same recognition because no one knows who they are because they do it because they love it.
Yeah.
And like, I cannot wait for them to become like men and get the first fights and, you know, show everyone all the hard work they've been doing over the years. But like that's what I like. I like to build up from nothing. You know what I mean? Like that's how I like to do things. I'm never going to be one of them coaches. Like, you know, all the years you've been at my gym and people have come from other gyms, not once have I ever said to them, hey, you should join our gym, you know.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You
No.
see me do the opposite. They're like, hey, can I come to your gym? And I'm like, have you spoke to your coach about it? You need to go away and speak to your coach and say to him, listen, I'm thinking of this. And speak to him about it, and then I'll have a conversation with you about it. But never, ever in a million years ever dream of stealing or trying to poach someone else's hard work.
Well, it's just that, you know what me saying, don't you? We coach, we don't poach.
Don't poach, yeah. But that's it, because I don't want to be. It always reminds me of, have you ever seen that episode of Family Guy where they're talking about Goodwill Hunting, and Ben Affleck's lying on the couch while Matt Damon goes, and that's the end, Goodwill Hunting, and he goes, put my name on that.
Yeah.
Put my name on that. Like, I never want to be one of them guys. I
Yeah.
would rather train from scratch. I would much rather say, listen, you know, you've come from nothing. You've come into my gym with nothing. Let's make you something.
So
You know what I mean?
that's something that lots of MMA gyms are like that, though, aren't they? They're too quick to go, oh, yeah, come on, you come to my gym. You leave your coach who you've had for 10 years, you come to my gym.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, people have come and joined our gym, but I will always have the conversation if you spoke to your coach about it first, because I'm a coach, I've had that happen to me, I hate it. Do you know what I mean? You put a lot of time and hard work into people, and they think, like, oh, the grass is greener there, and then, okay, well, that's up to you. But, like I say, I would much rather take the enjoyment of taking someone that's never done anything before, and that person getting an achievement. Like, some people say to me, like, what was like the proudest moments of your coaching career? Like, apart from like, the UFC and like the stuff like our Jack's achieved and stuff like that. My proudest moments are two things. I'll talk about them. Number one was when Paul Webb won the gold medal at ground control.
Yeah.
Because everyone wrote him off. He was Care Bear and all this sort of stuff, and everyone wrote him off that he was going to, and he won the gold medal at a grappling competition. And I've seen how much it meant to him.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Steve Hodge. When the gym sort of split and some fighters went to other places, Steve Hodge was one of the people that, like, stuck with me. He came in the gym the next day and helped me clean up the gym, and then, that sort of stuff. And he said, like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to stay with you. And then he had his first fight on Cage Conflict, and he knocked the kid out with like this uppercut. And that was like one of my proudest moments. You know what I mean?
I don't even know why I was saying at that time. I think I was, but I wasn't there. But I'll never forget watching that back on video and just being like...
Because he was like the nicest man in the world. Used to turn up to train every day, and he was always the nail in training and all that sort of stuff. And that was his moment, and I was proper proud of him.
And what's boss about it now is his son comes to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. His son comes to the gym. Yeah, his Callum comes to the gym, and he messaged me, and I was like, when are you going to come in and see me? Come and say hello. So, Steve, come and say hello.
Yeah, you best come and see us, Steve.
Yeah.
I'll be on you.
But like I say, some people think like your proud moments are going to be the big moments. But as a coach, it's not the big moments.
It's the ones that mean something to you, really, innit?
It's the ones that mean something to you, because the people that you connect with have achieved something that is important to them. Something they may never have felt like they were ever going to achieve. You know what I mean? And them things don't have to be competitive.
Yeah.
Like, giving you your black belt was more important to me than you winning your UFC fight. That was a reflection of how much time that we spent together and the lessons I taught you over the years. That was that was a really emotional moment for me. You, Vent, Ellis, anyone I've gave a black belt to, that meant something to me. Like, I'm not just a guy that doesn't know you, doesn't train with you, doesn't have any input in you. Like, every single black belt I've gave out has been from the heart, from years and years.
From years of hard work and years of dedication. Yeah.
And that's what means something to me as a coach. So, like, achievements and the things that people do. Like, Charlie Wilson was the first kid that I trained to blue belt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, no, sorry. He's the first who joined the kids' classes and became a blue belt, and that, giving him his blue belt was a very special moment. But it's just Sophie.
Yeah.
Like, Sophie was like the first kid, but she never went to kids' classes. She was just an adult.
Yeah.
She was a kid, but she was in adults' classes, and like even giving her brown belt, that means like a lot to me. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad because we've seen Sophie grow up.
Exactly,
like,
yeah,
It's mad, and now she's a brown belt and she's a coach herself.
But they're the things, they're the things that, like, I thrive off as a coach. I'm not just hanging on for the latest UFC win.
Yeah.
They're nice things. They're things that, like, we work hard for. Don't get me wrong, but they're the things that get the attention, the little things that don't get the attention sometimes.
It's a more personal side of things.
Yeah. No one knows about it.
No.
It's like, I'll talk about it, but you do a lot of stuff behind closed doors for people. like a lot of stuff. I see it. We speak about it all the time. Like, you don't put it up. Some people will put stuff up on the social media. Look what I'm doing. I want like attention for this. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not, it's for them and not the other person. But I know how much stuff you do for other people that people don't even know about. You know what I mean? Sometimes they get a glimpse of it on your Instagram when it's up. And sometimes, like, they don't. You know what I mean? Like, they're the things that mean something to you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're the ones that mean something to you. And, like, that does my head in when people just put stuff up for social media, like giving money out and doing stuff like that just so we can get it on video. It pisses me off.
Yeah. Imagine I put up all the good things I've done for people over the years on video. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to do anything like that.
Because we know what we've done, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I like, as a coach, it's my job to kind of like help and assist. Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, a coach is not a role anything like a fighter.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the opposite. Like, you need to be selfish and I need to be there to help you do the things for you that you need doing. You know what I mean? If I wrote down all my job roles, you know what I mean? Like, teaching martial arts is probably like the smallest role. Do you know what I mean?
That's probably like 4 or 5 on the list.
It is, yeah. It's the other things that like make the difference.
I always say, that's why I always call you Uncle Rim. You're like my second dad. Like, I don't know where it'd be now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't do that for any other reason, but it's nice knowing that all the stuff that we did over the years has so far paid off for you. But if it hadn't paid off for you, I'd still be doing them same things for you, wouldn't I? Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
If you were fucking working in Jaguar Land Rover or something and doing a bit of jits of a night, I'd still be the exact same coach to you.
Yeah.
As if you were Paddy the UFC star. You know what I mean? And that's important for people to kind of like understand. You know, you have a coach and a relationship, and you know, that's something that you should treasure.
Shouldn't be like Cobra Kai.
It's like, I was speaking about my background before, like not that long ago. I remember sending Bernie a message, and the message was, "Hey mate, haven't spoken to you for years, but just wanted to let you know that like where I got to today, I wouldn't have got to without the lessons that you taught me, and I really appreciate it." Like, that's something that I would send out to someone. I did send it out because it means something to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All the coaches that I've ever trained under, I've always been loyal to. I've always had a great relationship with them because that's important to me. They taught me lessons. You know what I mean?
They've all had a little bit of an input on how you are as a martial artist now.
And a man.
Yeah, and a man.
You know what I mean? That's an important thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a very loyal person. You know, I'll have your back until I've realised that, like, well, you didn't have mine or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. I'm a traditional martial artist, like, at heart. You know, to me, this is all martial arts, and being loyal to your instructor was always the thing, if you know what I mean. And I've always been like that. I've been with Chris Brennan for 20 years. I've been George's student for over 28 years. You know what I mean? I'm a very...
Yeah, honour's a big part in martial arts, isn't it?
To me, it is.
Yeah,
to me, it is
a
like
big part, and like I've always said it, loyalty is a big thing to me. It always will be.
And some people have their own views on it. Some people like, there's no place for loyalty in MMA. But loyalty is a different thing. Loyalty would be me turning around to you and saying, listen, I've took you as far as I can go. It's time for you to go and spread your wings somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's me being loyal to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, loyalty is not, you got to stay with me.
Yeah.
That's not it. Loyalty is as in friends and helping you grow and becoming the person that you can be. Loyalty is having your best interests at heart and staying true to you. That's what it's about. And some people aren't that way. Some people are that way. You know what I mean? It's black and white. You know, it's amazing the amount of people who've like fucking chat shit about loyalty but then support a football team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can support a football team your whole life, be loyal to your football team, but I'm not doing so well. I'll fuck off and go and watch another football team play. That doesn't happen.
No.
People are loyal. They just choose the loyalty based upon like certain factors, and you know, one of them can be money, some of them can be their own agenda or whatever. But at the end of the day, I want to know that I've stayed true to my own beliefs, my own morals, the way that I've carried myself as a person. Like, they're what's important to me. Character is always, when the cameras aren't on, Who are you really?
Who are you really when the cameras aren't on?
Yeah, I know you are when the cameras aren't on. You're the same person when as when the cameras are on. But people don't believe that until they spend some time around
people
you.
don't believe that till they actually come and chill with me.
They realise then, like,
they realise. But know what? I couldn't finish it on anything better. So we'll end it there today. But Paul, tell everyone where to find you and stuff like that.
You can find me at Next Generation, at Next Gen MMA at Next Gen MMA Liverpool on Instagram. Don't get me on Twitter. Don't even check that shit.
Yeah, it's just Instagram.
Don't have me on Facebook either. Don't ring me. Don't email me. Just come to the gym and we'll get you started.
Yeah, don't ring him at like 12:30 at night and ask him about the classes the next day when the timetable's on the internet.
Yeah, don't ring me 5 minutes before the class starts because I'm teaching. But I just want to say big up to Elle, Vince, Cy Audley, Chris, Joe Mack, all the people that like help us out on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Scotty, JP, like that,
Paul Reed.
Paul Reed, mate. Paul Reed's the man.
Yeah, the absolute man.
Please get Paul Reed on again. Paul Reed is the man, mate. He really is. Carl Evans, all the guys that like support us and have helped us out for years, but they don't get like the recognition they deserve.
That they deserve.
You know what I mean? Like that's what, although I am like the head coach of the gym, I could not do what I do without like all the support of everyone else. Even down to like the people that cover classes for us when we're away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Big up all the jiu-jitsu coaches in the gym. You know what I mean? Like everyone builds towards this together. It's not just something where like it's me getting the recognition for doing it. That the whole gym should get the recognition for the work that they put in with everyone. So yeah.
Yeah,
big up Benjy.
Big up NG. We're Next Gen as a team, mate. We're not a one-man band. But yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Sponsored by Flux, as always. This jacket's a beast. And this hoodie, I will put the link in the description so you can get involved and start buying. Peace out, the firm.
Someone sponsor me and send me some shit.